Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another card making video tutorial. Today we have some great outdoors background scene cards featuring brand new products from the Hero Arts August 2023 My Monthly Hero release. Today's cards are a focus on backgrounds and background building for scenes. We're going to start with the Trail Map bold print from the release. I'm going to place this in my Misty, and I actually need to remove the waffle flower grip mat and place something else down inside. The grip mat takes the place of the black foam, and with a cling or rubber mounted stamp, you will need to not have that in there, just like you would with the black foam. So I just have a regular sticky mat and I have some espresso ink. I'm going to ink up this Trail Map bold print and stamp it right on the white cardstock. I always kind of find it magical to watch the backgrounds take shape from start to finish, where we have the stark brown ink here on the white cardstock and how it goes from this to the beautiful brown that we're going to do next. So we are going to take our background now and ink it up with a couple of shades of Hero Arts inks to build the beautiful color. We're going over the whole panel with the caramel colored ink, and then we'll go back with the espresso color around the edges to build the intensity. The goal for this is to give it kind of an old world map type of look and effect. This is a scene card that has more of an interesting background than the background being a part of the scene, if you will, and you'll see the difference when we get to the second card. But everything about the background helps tell the story when we get to adding the layers on top. So once we have our background, it is time to get the elements that we will be using. We are going to be using the Bear Hugs Stampin' Cut today. I thought the bear with the baby was absolutely adorable. And with this, we will also be using the Cactus Fancy Dies to help build the scene. I'm going to grab a couple of greetings as well. The greetings took an interesting route from start to finish, kind of, with this particular card. I wasn't exactly sure where they were going to go, but I like to pick them out ahead of time, and then from there we can figure it out. Now, even though I started with white cardstock for my map background, I decided to go with Neenah Desert Storm cardstock for stamping my bears from the Bear Hugs Stampin' Cut, and to die cut the cactus and images from the Cactus Fancy Dies, also from Desert Storm. We're going to add color with Olo markers. So alcohol ink markers here to add all of the color for these awesome images. I started with a few cactus images, and I'm going to add more as the scene comes to life. Sometimes I know exactly what I'm going to use for a card, and sometimes it takes a different route than what I thought. And once I add the bear and the three or four images from the fancy cactus that I originally planned on, it really did not feel complete to me. And once I add a few additional images, oh my goodness, I love it so much. So don't be afraid to add or take away as you are creating your cards. Sometimes that's all that's needed to make it perfect. I love how the alcohol ink markers look on the Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. I'm starting with a nice base color, and from there we will just build in and build up the intensity following the lines of the stamp. I haven't colored in a hot minute, so it was kind of nice to have a project that featured some coloring today. And even coloring on dies. Now with the dies, I could have ink blended them. The reason I chose not to is I feel like they match better with the rest of the card by coloring them in with the same medium. So if I had ink blended the bears, let's say, actually there are some bear dies, the Bear Family Fancy dies, which I will be using on the second card. If I had used those with the cactus images, I could have ink blended all of those. Now, size and scale wise, I didn't feel like those matched or worked with the cactus very well. I feel like the size and scale of this bear is a little bit better. It just depends on what you're looking for and what kind of card you're trying to create. I'm mostly concentrating on brown earth tone shades for my bears. In the Olo markers, that's going to be the OR colors. I do pull in a little bit of a warm gray just to kind of help with my shading here in a minute. And I've sped up the coloring just a bit to get through it quicker. And I realize I did miss coloring in some of the cactus images. I apologize. I did not realize my camera wasn't on. I wish there was a little notification noise, but you can definitely see that process here. I love working on a glass mat when coloring with the alcohol ink markers, just like I do when ink blending, because it's very easy cleanup. A little alcohol ink or even stamp cleaner, and that wipes right off. Okay, that is looking so cute. I love it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start building our scene. I'm gonna put foam adhesive on the back of my images. There is a coordinating die for the Bear Hugs Stamp and Cut. That is a set, so it comes with the stamp and the die to die cut that. The cactus images will all be glued directly down to the card for the most part, for this first layer, I guess I should say. So we are going to, I've glued everything down now, and this is a great opportunity to look at your card. For me, it's missing something. I feel like it doesn't have quite enough to tell the story, and so I need to add something additional. So I ended up cutting some more of the Cactus Fancy dies and coloring them in with my markers. This image here, I did die cut twice, and you're going to see me add another one to the right side of the card because both of these images will be added to the left side, and that little change makes all the difference to me, and it only took a few additional minutes to add. So what we're going to do, and I've already secured the bear, but we're going to be real careful lifting him up. So let's color in this other image real fast. It's so quick and easy. This is the exact process I took for the cactus that are already on the card, and I love that. I think that's perfection. So off camera, I colored another one of the same image, and now we're going to add them to the card. And even though this is going to be attached over something that is slightly popped up, I think it's going to be just fine. In fact, I don't add foam adhesive to any of these images. We're just going to glue them straight down. And then I'm very, very carefully going to pop up Miss Mom Bear's head. And I'm going to have to remove this foam square. I'm going to be careful with that too, and I'm just going to use a new one here in a second after I get this tucked down underneath. And to me, this looks so much better, so much more balanced. Don't be afraid to make adjustments and change as you're working. So we're going to pop that right down. Let's get another foam square and fix Mama Bear's head, and it's perfect. I love this. So this is really going to work for all kinds of greetings. Even though the Bear Hug Stampin' Cut is a pretty small set, there's a lot of greetings in here. So for this card, we're going to have thank you. And you can see I'm just stamping those on a scrap, and the rest of it is for everything you do. I stamped those with the espresso ink on the Desert Storm cardstock. I will use the Simon Says Stamp label, sentiment label dies to die cut my greetings. Any kind of label die, you can even just use your paper trimmer if you want to. And I did opt to do the espresso ink rather than black. I felt like this complemented my cards better. I'm going to go over the whole sentiment strip with whatever ink is left on my brown ink blending brush, and then I'm going direct to paper around the edges with the espresso to give those edges a nice dark look. We will be popping up the sentiment strips on our card with foam adhesive. Originally, I was going to put one up above and one below, but I don't like that at all. I've used a black glaze pen for the eyes and noses of my bears to really make them pop. And this is my finished card. I always like a little foam. Now I did add a couple of heart embellishments. As I was looking at this, you know how I love my hearts. I went to my stash. These are some Lucy's Little Things, and they're actually a blue color. And there's not blue on this card, but when I was looking at white hearts, red hearts, the white was just too stark for such a nature heavy card. The red didn't really go very well, and I loved these blue hearts. They are a little bit translucent, and I feel like they work with this design so beautifully. Just kind of giving you the Southwest type vibes. Southwest with bears. I don't know, but I loved it. I just thought this was perfect. And I will place this on a white top fold card base, and our first card is all finished. So for this card, we use the Trail Map Bold Prints, the Bear Hug Stampin' Cut, and Cactus Fancy Dies. Now we're going to work with the Mountains and Trees bold print, and for this one, we're going to stamp the background in a couple of colors. So this is not going to be an all over color, but we are going to start on the Neenah Desert Storm cardstock for this one. And I've got some pine ink from Hero Arts. We're going to ink up the bottom part of the background and stamp the trees in pine. This is a really fun background. Then we're going to take our blue ink and we're going to ink up the sky and the mountains. Make sure we get it covered well. And we have our background. Now, this is a little too stark. I think this would be really fun for a certain kind of graphic card. This is the Periwinkle color, by the way. We are going to ink blend the mountains with a little bit of espresso ink. I'm trying to use kind of a light hand, because we will go back over this with pine or moss here in a minute. I can't remember which one I used. And just to add a little more greenery. And we're going to do a little periwinkle over the clouds and sky up high. Just really adding more color. Now, at first I thought, oh my gosh, I think maybe I've ruined my card. But I always think that, yeah, moss. We're using moss here and then some pine. I always think that at first, but then it ends up being fantastic. So for this one, we will be using the Bear Family Fancy Dies, and we will use sentiments from the Bear Hugs Stampin' Cut that we just used to finish this off. Now, the great thing about the Bear Family Fancy Dies, this is a bear family, so it's a mama bear and two baby bears, and then a great tree border that could be used for lots of different things. So, again, very versatile and fun. We've got our background ink blended. I will trim this background down to 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to take some wire snips and snip apart my Bear Family Fancy Dies. And we're going to die cut the tree border from another piece of Desert Storm cardstock. And we will also die cut our bears from some Desert Storm cardstock. And this is a beautiful detailed border die. You can choose to ink blend, just like before when I was talking about the cactus dies and things. I actually opted to color in these images with my Olo markers. So we're going to do a nice base of kind of this yellowish green color. Then we're going to blend in with our darker colors and then some earth tones for the ground. I ended up really loving how this turned out. It was another one that was a little dicey there for a minute. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. But try to persevere even when you're not so sure about something. Often it can be fixed, the things that you don't like. I always think that. Sometimes as I'm working and I think maybe things are a misstep, but when it all comes together, it ends up being fantastic. And I'm going to keep building on these trees because this is a really good example of maybe not loving the trees right off the bat, but you can keep going over them with alcohol ink markers until you achieve the look that you like. And again, we're going to do a lighter color. I wasn't loving this. I actually took the 0 marker, which is a colorless blender in Copic, just to kind of soften all of that out. And then I'm going to go back with my browns and kind of fix what I was doing there. Almost an eraser, but not quite. So let's fix the trees and then we'll fix the ground. I end up loving it. I think it looks fantastic. And then we'll color in the bears with the same brown colors that I used for the bear Stampin' Cut. We're going to pop the tree border up along the bottom part of the panel, and I've already trimmed it down to 4 by 5¼ inches. This will hang off the sides just a little bit. I like to start with a little bit bigger and trim down. I feel like that works the best. And then we'll just trim off anything hanging off the edge. Oh my gosh, look at how that just makes it into this beautiful mountain scene. I love this so much. So now that we have this done, we've got our bears. Let's go ahead and color those in and add our sentiments. So I'm kind of playing around with sentiments. I'm looking at my bears. I think this is going to look really awesome. This is going to be more of a bottom heavy style card. So the sentiment will work perfectly up above. Just like before, I am going to use 2 sentiments. This time we're going to use sending bear hugs and I'm here for you. I think that that works great. And you can see all the sentiments on the Bear Hugs Stampin' Cut and just how many you get. I will take a black Jelly Roll pen and try to add a little detail into the face. It's more of an illusion for these images, but that works perfectly. Oh my goodness, so cute. Okay, and then we're going to pop up our bears with foam as well. Getting a little creative for Mama Bear. And then the little babies, just a little tiny foam square each. So fun. We've stamped the greetings then on a scrap of Desert Storm cardstock. And again, we're using the espresso colored ink. I feel like it just works so much better with the background. We will ink blend with our brown blending brush over the top of our greetings. Die cut with Sentiment Labels dies. Do direct to paper inking around the edges with espresso and pop up with foam adhesive in the upper part of the card. Finishing off with a scattering of heart embellishments again. Oh, this is so cute. I love how this turned out. And really fun fonts for the greetings for this one. Something a little different, but I think works beautifully. Now, I definitely think this card needs a little something, so the hearts are the perfect little finishing touch here. I'm going to start with like 3, but I think I end up adding 5. I like the odd number. And I didn't overblend the ground. That was very much on purpose because these bears are, you know, just out in the trees, like in a little clearing or whatever. That's kind of what I was imagining. And even though you can see a little bit of the white glue back behind these hearts, it will dry completely clear and you'll just be left with the beautiful blue. It's a little translucent, so it will pick up a little color, I suppose, of the background, but it's not going to show that white. Now, because this background is a little bit smaller, I trimmed it down. It will have a nice white frame all the way around when adhered to a white top fold card base. The other background is A2 sized, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, which is totally fine. We're going to switch glue partway through. But I love how that just kind of looks like a framed snapshot almost. Oh, and I bumped my heart. Good thing I saw that before the glue dried. And then, of course, we have our trail map background. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these great outdoors cards featuring background scenes or creating scenes from backgrounds using the Hero Arts August 2023 My Monthly Hero release. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content, you'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.